Hey everybody, my name is Jay Martin. Thanks for watching T2 Replays. This is a 4v4 game on Arid Cliffs, which is a fabulous map. It's one of my favorite maps. I'm playing this game. I'm on the far right. I'm Ottoman, as Russia near me. Also from Huntsman as Karlovachko. And these are actually all three Huntsman guys. This is Mahakar, and that's Z Bishop. And this game was really long, so I don't want to show the entire thing to you, although the game was very interesting. What I want to do is fast forward and skip through time to a part where the game gets very interesting, and I'll meet you up there. But until then, I want to make a few notes about this map. If you haven't played this map yet, you should. This map is really, really optimized for 3v3 play. It's also very good for 4v4 play, and probably pretty good for 2v2. I don't think it's probably a very good 1v1 map. But this is a fabulous map. What it has is this large hill in the middle. Let me show you the mini-map. Maybe you can get the contour, if you can see that big glob there. But there's a slope that comes up here, and there's a slope that goes up there. And then otherwise, it's pretty much all cliffs. There's a couple small openings that you can see Maha moving through right there. But this is a really, really interesting map. And this is a 4v4 game that we played on this map. Alice, please stop. And I'm going to pick you up in a minute to show you the really interesting part of the game that I thought, and I want to share it with you. So I'll pick you back up in 1 minute. Okay, so welcome back to the game at the point where I think it's really interesting. I'm going to try to keep you oriented. This is the original camera angle that I had you at. And let me swing you around. I'm going to try to keep you oriented. On the right flank here, our player Z Bishop has done a wonderful job. He's killed more than his number, but he's just been, he keeps getting ganged up on by the opponent. So he's pulling back with what he has left, and his goal right now, he has 4 units there that he's just trying to draw as many enemy units away with him. Now, the opponent units, or the enemy units, are the French, the Prussian, and the British. And they've occupied a formation on this hill here, which is a really good defensive position. And they've occupied, you know, this line up here. And within this line are something ridiculous like 4 old guard, 2 foot guard, and 5 young guard. Just a ridiculous amount of young guard units, and like that old guard has a chevron. A lot of these units have chevrons on them. So, according to the power bar, I think that we outnumber them, but they definitely out-quality us. And I was really, really worried about, you know, these old guard and these young guard units because we're playing minor nations. You know, we're Russia and Ottoman, and we really can't, you know, stand up to them toe-to-toe. So we had a real problem. So that's the status of our opponent. They've occupied this line here with a couple foot guards and a bunch of French elites. Here is our status. On our right, as I already said, Z Bishop is just retiring to try to draw as many, and it looks like he's drawing 3 infantry units away with him. On the top of the hill, we have Mahakar, who is this Ottoman player, and Maha has 4 line units left, all of which are very low on ammunition and incredibly depleted. He also has a handful of cav units left, and that's what Maha has going for him. So Maha has 4 infantry units, a couple cav, and that's about it. Karlovachko is Russia, and this is kind of our ace in the hole. We had moved 3 of Karlov's units to the top of the hill there. These are cherry units. These have not been engaged in combat yet. We have 3 line units here that are all at full strength with full ammunition. And at the base of the hill here, this is the rest of Karlov's line. He has 4 units. These are mostly guard units, but they are out of ammunition mostly. They're very low. I think he has 1, maybe 2 cav units left. So that's what we have to go with. Now, the bonus we have going for us, Karlov also has 2 cav units left. Our other ace in the hole is that my army has just arrived, and my opponent, who is the French guy with all the elites, had retreated all across the map, and I'd been chasing him. So my entire army shows up right here, completely not fresh, but Well, I guess I'd waited so they were fresh, but my army had not been engaged in combat, so all of these line units here, I have about 8 of them, are mine. I have 4 Bashi Bazooks, and then I have 2 Semet Janissaries. Now, every now and then people ask me, questions in the comments like, Jay Martin, can you put a video up about how to attack a position? Well, my kind of general rules for attacking is that I think my textbook answer is that attacking means creating localized positional advantage, or in other words, to create an immense focus of firepower at one particular point. This is why I really like playing Ottomans, by the way, because you can charge a melee unit in, and then charge a cav unit in, and then have a line unit behind them shooting. That's why I really like playing Ottomans, because you can really focus firepower at one particular point. So in this particular game, we had a real quandary, because if any of us had attacked by ourselves, if Maha, with his really depleted 4-line, had attacked down here against this gob of infantry, he would have gotten killed. If Karlov had attacked here by himself, he would have gotten killed. So it really required a really precise degree of, playing as a team. Whatever you call that, or coordination. So my solution that I offered to the group, which everybody accepted, and so what wound up being our plan is that I had these 2 Janissary units here that were fairly well upgraded. And I thought a really good plan was, well, let me back up a second. First of all, this line here with all the French Old Guard in it is really, really strong, especially since we're going uphill. So my thought was that if we could attack downhill and then get into the rear of these guys' flank, then we could also coordinate an attack both from the rear and from the front of them. The idea was that we just had to get enough force together on the top to make that attack downhill. So the plan that we wound up coming together, and all brains had an input on this, is that Maha, with his 4 depleted infantry units, would rush in his meat shields. I'm going to bring 2 fairly well upgraded Janissary units in to form a melee push down this side. And then Karlov has his 3 infantry units that he can use to shoot. So we've got a coordinated offense here of kind of 4 waves. We've got Maha as the meat shield. We've got me as the melee attack. We've got about 4 or 5 cav units that we can put in this direction. And then we've got Karlov as the infantry fire support. And the idea was that once we can break this section of their line and we crash into the rear of this French player, and once we achieve that, then we'll start an advance up the front this way. And the real trick here was coordinating the timing to make sure that we did it all correctly. And this is really difficult because you have 3 different people, both Karlov and I were occupied on both flanks, so we had to keep zooming around a lot. And this turned out to be a very, very interesting attack. So what I want to do, I want to try to give you a really good camera angle on it, and you can watch the proceedings as they unfold. And I thought this was a really, really nice display of Napoleon play, because if we had gone in one at a time against these guys, we certainly would have just gotten creamed. It would not have been polite at all. And instead, we put our little heads together and we teamworked up. And what's going to happen is Maha in a second is going to make his move down the field. I'm going to follow with my Janissaries. And then you're going to see Karlov follow here. Now we're going to make a good decision, and you're going to see a lot of our cav go in first. The reason you put your cav in first is to force the enemy to form square, which will mean that your infantry behind them will get better shots on those squares. And honestly, what we were doing is we were just throwing everything we had at these guys. We just wanted to try to find any weak spot that we could find, yada, yada, yada. So what you're going to witness right here is, just really, here goes Maha's infantry attack. You should be watching this in full screen, by the way. You really need to get the bigger picture to get the full aspect on what Maha's doing. And so there goes Maha's infantry. A bunch of cav follows it up. You can see the melee units coming in from reserve. And Maha is chasing those lights right there. He's going to get into those foot. They're not going to get to square. Let me move up a little bit. Maha's line, get into melee. Getting into melee line on line is really good because once a unit is engaged in melee, they're not going to be able to shoot back, which means that you see Karlov's line units here showing up are going to get free shots at everybody engaged in melee. These are my Janissaries who come in right there. Downhill charge should be fairly good. And you notice what Maha is doing is when his unit runs out of ammo, he just continues into a melee charge. If you're charging downhill, you get a pretty good advantage. And you notice the advance on the right now begins. We timed this. We did a brilliant job. I want to say that my team did a fabulous job of timing the advance on the right with the downhill charge of the left, because now we're breaking through into the French right. And if you watch the French player closely, I've watched this replay a few times now, you'll notice that he kind of panics a little bit and wants to retreat, wants to kite back, but isn't really sure where to go because there's a bunch of troops in his rear. And you see the advance we put here. The idea was that Karlov with his depleted units are going to be the meat shield again, but honestly Karlov's units do a really great job just holding their own because the French player panics. You see him retreating a bunch of units away. That isn't really a solution. If you look in the back, you see we've got a cav unit that is just creeping in the background looking to take exactly that advantage. You know, I mean, we're willing to hit him on all four flanks here. We've got a cav unit looking to come up. And our melee attack continues down here. Karlov, and the real trick, if I might continue, is when you execute this kind of attack is you have to just keep things moving. You have to keep momentum going your way. Keep advancing. You see him retreating right here. Just keep running after them. The best way to defeat a kiter is to run after them. You have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. And we keep retreating. We keep advancing after this player here, and we keep moving up, and our forces from the right keep advancing down. More of our, reserve cav keeps coming in. Here comes more reserve cav, and we keep crashing more units into them. And I'll be real honest, what turned out, I thought that we had a legit chance to lose this game. I wasn't really, positive that we would win. But this assault that we performed here turned out to be really, really fabulous. You can notice we're, encircling the rest of the French player here. Reserve cav is going in there. Take out that young guard. And I think in this attack, we had remarkably low casualties. Like Maha lost 2 of his line units. Karlov maybe lost 2 of his. I only lost 1 cav unit doing this, so we made an assault against a fairly fortified, well-fortified position here, and we did it, I want to argue, incredibly successfully and with minimal casualties, and I thought this is a really, really incredible assault. It was worth making a video for. And you get a good plan together, you coordinate it, and you put some teamwork together, and you can do some really excellent things. You put a bunch of people together. Look at Z Bishop in the background there. Z gets his in the end, you know what I mean? Z gets his in the end. And this wound up being a huge beating, and at one point it looked like the other team had us dead because Maha was really wearied out. Kalavachko was really tired out, and we were kind of like, are we going to be able to win this? They got 4 old guard in there. They got 5 young guard in there. We're going to be able to win this? And we put this attack together, which was incredibly successful. And I think just a really great example of what can happen when you coordinate as a team, when you put a good plan together, you find an area that you can concentrate firepower on. Localized firepower advantage. That's what attacking is all about. And we were able to do that. And when we did that, we won the game. And I've watched this replay a couple times, and this particular assault right here still, I think, is really extraordinary. I think it's a really well put together assault and a good example of what you can do. So if you're playing a team game, you get in that situation, coordinate with your teammates and put that all together. And that's it. My name is Jay Morton. Thanks for watching, and I will check you in the next video.